Hey, we back, everybody, and we definitely fighting the power, but we fighting it with knowledge, and we definitely fighting it with pen and paper, because we need to write down the information that's given today. Everybody around the world and all our supporters, I want to say hello. Thank you for tuning in to the I've Been Falsely Accused radio show. I'm your host, Cogee, with my main man, Mr. Jeffrey Deskovic, who's definitely doing a good job today. I'm loving what you're doing today, Jeffrey. I am. I'm really liking how you going in on the situation and you opening it up a little bit more, because I get it open, but you like, okay, well, I like this meal, but it need a little bit more meat and potatoes. You know what I'm saying? I like this. I love it. So what I want to do, I want to thank, like I said, Miss Johnetta Carr. I mean, you definitely doing a good job today. And, Jeffrey ain't coming at you hard like a prosecutor, but Jeffrey definitely is coming for you, coming at you hard out of love, because when you go to people, Jeffrey don't want you to keep hearing no, because when you hear so many no's, that start to messing with, your confidence in your own case, knowing that you were railroaded. But on top of that, when you get so many no's, and Jeffrey know I'm right on what I'm going to say, when the next person you go to say, okay, young lady, how many people have you went to get help, and who are all the people that turned you down? Now, once you say these certain key names and these key places, it's almost like, well, dag, usually they help people. So if they didn't help you, you know what? We really ain't got time for it either. Am I right or wrong, Jeffrey?
Absolutely true, Coach. And to build, I want to encourage Johnetta to keep trying. There's a lot of collateral damage to being convicted, wrongfully convicted, beyond just the time in prison. There's the matter of having a permanent criminal record. It impacts on voting. It impacts on getting jobs, reputation. There's a lot of reasons why. Just because your jail time, your prison time might be over, there's still a lot of reasons to keep going.
That's right.
And try to fight and prove your innocence. It's not only about the incarceration. So I want to encourage Johnetta, as well as anyone else who may be listening to us, whether listening to us live or any of these shows which are archived on several places. Don't ever quit fighting for your innocence. It's never a waste of time. It's always worth it. Even if you're physically free from incarceration, you want to get those other things off of you. And on top of that, to do time in prison wrongfully, morally, you're entitled to compensation.
Right.
And that's never going to happen if you're not proven innocent, because they're going to look at it like, well, you were never in prison wrongfully. You were there rightfully.
That's right.
That's the system's position. Unless you're able to win in court or you get the governor to pardon you based on innocence, you ain't never going to get compensation. So keep going. Keep going. Don't ever quit.
Okay, what I want to do real quick, Johnetta, do you have pen and paper?
Yes, I do.
Okay, now, Jeffrey, what I want to do, I want to go around the board real quick, because I have to let, the falsely accused team that we have here, they want to ask questions as well. So first thing I want to do, I'm going to come to Miss Peaches. I'm going to come to you in a second. But what I want to say, Jeffrey, after everybody then asked the question, I want you to tell Johnetta, what are the first steps you want her to do? And when she's mastered these steps to get back in touch with me and you, well, I'll be staying in touch with her anyway. But then I could come to you and Jeffrey, and say, okay, Johnetta has went through A, B, C, and D. Now, what can we do? How's that, Jeffrey?
Sounds like a plan, Cogee.
Okay, so I'll be coming to you in a second. First person I want to go to is Miss Peaches. Miss Peaches, how you doing today? And what would you like to say to Miss Johnetta?
Well, hello, Cogee. Thank you. And Miss Johnetta, thank you for sharing your story.
And Jeffrey.
I was getting to Jeffrey for sure.
Okay.
You're doing a great job, Jeffrey. Thank you. And Johnetta, I just wanted to know, I know you and Cogee, the phones were breaking up pretty bad, Cogee, so I apologize if there's something I asked and it was already said. But I heard that Johnetta was using posters to get her story out and the word out that she has been falsely accused and what's going on.
Right.
Are you still doing that, or how are you doing now? How is Johnetta now?
It's rough. It's just really, really rough. It's hard for me to find a job. As far as my posters go, I haven't did it in about 2 to 3 weeks, but I'm definitely, gonna get back at that. and keep trying. I'm not, necessarily doing that for me. I'm also doing it, to help other people. So.
Okay. Ms. Peaches, You got something else to ask her real quick?
Just if she has, do you have a network of people do you have any support, or are you alone in this?
I have the support of my family, and some people in the community do support me. When I walk, I actually get people to sign the back of my posters to, kind of keep me encouraged. So, yeah.
Okay, that's great. I'm glad that your family's standing by you and you have that. But I really, wish the best for you, and you've connected with two really great men that each one can help you in the best to their ability, and I know they will.
Okay, all right. We're going to go to Foxy. Foxy, what would you like to say to Johnetta?
Hi, Johnetta and Jeffrey.
Hello.
I just wanted to know about the guy that was murdered. Was you related to him, or who was he in the community, and that they went so hard on you for his murder and robbery?
He was a friend of mine.
And who was he in the community? Was he well known? Was he, just somebody that...
He was just somebody that I knew. Nobody, famous or well known in the community. He was a cab driver.
Okay. Brother Anthony, what would you like to ask her real quick? Because we got to move fast because Jeffrey got to...
Hello, everybody out there. My name's Anthony, and I just have a question. I didn't have a statement, but there's a question. Johnetta, are you encouraged, and how do you keep yourself encouraged from this day forward?
I'm very encouraged. God is my strength, and people like Cogee and Jeffrey, so I keep myself encouraged.
And I will say something. I'm a 15-year ex-cab driver, and nothing happened because I had friends that were deceased in the cabs. But I will say one thing, and I'll say it again: continue watching and praying, because I heard what you said, that God brought you through this so you can help other people, because you said there's 10,000 people falsely accused every year in this country. So stay encouraged.
All right. There it is, definitely. Now, what I want to do, Johnetta, I definitely want you to get the pen and paper so, we could try to move forward on this situation, because like Jeffrey said, and this is the way I want you to think about it too, you should be compensated for what happened to you. I mean, your life is really destroyed right now on that whole situation. But like Jeffrey said, when you go talk to people, you definitely got to raise those red flags that they hear, where they hear all the red flags and go, wow, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, how did you get convicted for that? How did this happen? And how did that happen? You got to get people just as gung-ho over you as me and Jeffrey, interviewing you on this show today. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Jeffrey, I'm going to go ahead and let you give her the steps real quick.
All right, real quick. All right, firstly, you need to go get all the police reports if you don't have them already, and read through every single one of them. What you're looking for is you need to see if there was ever an alternative suspect identified. The next thing is you need to scour around all the newspapers in the county where you were at the in the year before the crime happened, and take it forward. I would say an additional 2 years. So 1 year before the crime and 2 years after. What you're looking for is a similar crime in a nearby area. That's the second thing. A third thing, you need to review the initial confession that was given by your co-defendant. Look at have a sheet marked down where all the statements she made in her confession that contradicts specific evidence. You need to document each one of those things. And then there was one other thing. Now it left my mind. It'll come back to me. Those are the three main steps that you that you need to do. Oh, it just dawned on me now. Find out, get more information on the tactics that police officer that was fired. What was his MO? You mentioned he was coercing people, but is there more details than that? Find out, is there any kind of inquiry that's going on? Is anybody looking into other cases that he may have impact? If so, what is their process? and who is it that's doing the review.
And how
those things, you gather those things and come back to Cogee, and we'll take it from there. We'll see if we can help guide you along the path. We'll identify the next couple steps based on our analysis of what you find.
Okay. What you think, Johnetta?
I think there was some great information, and I do appreciate that.
Okay. Now, another thing I need you to do, I think in this whole process, I think you need to be very silent about every move that you're making and just make the moves, and always have you a nice Sharpie highlighter, and you highlight everything that Jeffrey told you. When you get all the police reports, you highlight everything in case you have to send Jeffrey something. And it goes back to what Jeffrey said. If you have to show somebody something, you already going to show the red flags already highlighted. And that's what you want them to see right off the bat. The red flags already highlighted to get their interest. Hello?
Hello, I'm still here.
Okay, you still on it? Must have been Jeffrey. Okay.
No, I'm still with you, Cogee.
Oh, okay.
I'm still with you, Cogee.
Oh, okay, it was Miss Peaches.
The important, because you have to have the other things, because the stuff you mentioned about the political dynamic and the police officer being fired, the most someone's going to do with that alone, without anything else, they're just going to look at that as ancillary. They're not going to look at that as evidence in chief that you're innocent. They're going to look at that as something that has to be paired with something else. No one is going to believe that you're innocent based only on those things. You have to give them something more. So that's why I pointed out some ways in which you could come up with something more.
Okay. Now, what we got to do, we got to take a break real quick, and I want you to stay on. Okay, Johnetta?
Okay.
All right, so we'll be back, everybody. And hey, I mean, we definitely bring an I've Been Falsely Accused show 2 weeks out of the month, end of the month. And we definitely want y'all to look forward to it, but we always want y'all to be ready to learn, because you never know what trappings is out there, and you need to know how to deal with them. And, I want to thank, everybody who's writing some cool stuff on I've Been Falsely Accused, about me and Jeffrey, and saying thank you for what we're doing and everything, because we do it out of love, you know what I'm saying? And we definitely, all we trying to do, we not trying to say no police are bad, the court system ain't bad. There's bad apples on every tree, but a tree still bears good fruit, you know what I'm saying? And it is good attorneys, it is good police, it is good judges. I mean, but unfortunately, some of them don't come across our path when we in the midst of this situation, as you can see with Johnetta. But you always got angels on your shoulder and around you, and people that you don't even know that really care about your well-being and your safety and getting your life back on track. And that's what me and Jeffrey are here to try to do, and the team. So stay locked in, stay tuned in. Quick break. We'll be right back. Hey, we back, everybody. Welcome back to the I've Been Falsely Accused radio show, part 19. I'm your host, Cogee, with my man, Mr. Jeffrey Deskovic, and we have Miss Johnetta Carr on here all the way from Louisville, Kentucky, telling her story. As you can see, we reach all around the world with our message and our fight and what we're trying to do. Now, right before we went to the break, I was going to come to Jeffrey, and Jeffrey, I was going to definitely ask you, what would you like to, definitely say to Johnetta, and then we got our next guest lined up. But I want Johnetta to stay in and hear what our next guest is ready to say. What would you like to say, Jeffrey?
Well, to Johnetta, briefly, as I mentioned before, don't give up. Keep fighting. For our audience, I'd just like to say the same way I gave Johnetta some advice as to try to begin to work on her case, how to take apart her case, those same methods I gave her are things that audience members who may be working on their own wrongful conviction case, or may have a friend or family member that needs to work on one or is currently working on one. That's the same way that you would start out in working on taking apart your own case.
Okay, there
so
it
it's
is.
A lot more than just Johnetta taking apart hers. It's true for her, but it has a broader meaning as well.
That's right. You're definitely right. And don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help, just like Johnetta did with me and Jeffrey. Just hit the website, go to I've Been Falsely Accused, and definitely ask us. And we always got somebody watching, the site to make sure that me or Jeffrey get the message. And then once I get it, I might listen to the case and see what I hear. And then that's when I'll get in touch with Jeffrey, because everybody can't get in touch with me and Jeffrey, because we are so busy. But once one of us get it, we get right in touch with each other, and then we take it from there. So what I want to do real quick, Johnetta, do you feel good about today's show?
I definitely feel good about today's show. I feel awesome. I feel like my heart is not heavy for the first time in 8 years.
Wow, that's great. That's great, definitely. And like I said, I want you to be encouraged, and don't take nothing that me and Jeffrey said to heart. Take it to love. You know what I'm saying? Take it. I mean, it comes from our heart. And sometimes we have Jeffrey. Like how he asked you certain things, and it might have sounded like a prosecutor, but he's got to safeguard himself and his organization and this show with the facts, because we can't just say, oh, we feel you innocent, but then we don't have, like he said, the back part. You know what I'm saying? And if that's left out, then it looks like we all for you. You get what I'm trying to say? Instead of listening to it fairly.
Yes, I understand.
Okay. Well, I want you to hold on, and we got to go to our next guest real quick. We got Miss Holly Austin. How you doing today?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm doing all right. So you kind of heard a little. Did you get to hear a little bit of what we was talking about today?
A little bit. I'm being honest. It's kind of on my phone. The connection might not be that well, so it's kind of like a whisper. But but I will tune in. I will go back and I will listen to the rebroadcast of the show. So.
Okay, and we'll definitely send you the show after the show today. But what I was going to tell you was, because we're running a little bit behind time, I want to invite you back in the first hour next week also, okay?
Okay.
Just in case we can't get your whole story in this time right now because we're running behind, I want to invite you back, and you'll be in the first hour next week. Is that?
I truly appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Jeffrey Deskovic, he's on the phone with me. That's my partner. And, we would like to thank you for coming on the show and turning to us for help. But can you give us the story of why you on the show and what happened, to bring this falsely accused situation to us today?
Okay, this is about my son, Charles Scott. My son suffers from mental illness. He has schizophrenia. My son has been locked up for 5 years in Northampton County Prison, which is located here in Easton, Pennsylvania. It's a really hard story. My son has been beaten in prison. He has lost his eyesight, his hearing, his jaw is broken. We've had 2 attorneys that have done nothing to help my son out of this situation. The woman who accused my son of basically raping her daughters, beating his daughters, taking a hammer, knocking their teeth out. All during this time, there was mandated reporters to Children's Youth Services from Easton, Pennsylvania. Nobody wrote any signs of abuse or anything like that. My son and I, we eventually went to the authorities of children and youth and told them about the neglect of this woman. They found our story was correct, and they took her children away. So a year and a half later, after we reported, that's when she came out and said all these horrible things against my son. This was an older Caucasian woman that was in her 40s. My son was 17 when he met her. So I feel that his crime of punishment is because supposedly he was with this woman, but a lot of things have not been done correctly by the system. Like I said, they have taken his rights away for a speedy trial. He's been asking to go to trial. He has been sent to 2 state hospitals during his incarceration. They keep saying all different things towards him. The latest thing for August 5th, Judge Zito, who has been sitting on this case for the last 5 years, they're saying that my son's overt behavior of being suicidal, and since he has mental illness, it's not for him to be in society. He needs to be in state prison. They're sending a lot of people who have mental illness out here in state prison. I'm at my rope's end. I'm trying to get my son's story out. My son has already told me once it's in the state prison, that's it. He's already tried to commit suicide before while he was in prison. He was on life support for a while because of that. And the reason why he tried to take his life in prison was because the accuser actually admitted that she lied. But also on top of that, they had housed him with a inmate that had HIV, and he had to clean up the inmate's bloody urine off the floor. So my son was at his wit's end. He felt no one was going to believe him. This big black guy, of course he must have did these crimes. So that's where it is right now. I'm trying to sum it up the best way I can because it's 5 years of hell that my son has gone through. And he knows with his charges that once they send him to state prison that either someone's going to kill him. He's not a fighter. He's already said that he's done. Just to sum it up, I just want the listening audience, I've been begging for someone out there, an attorney who has the guts to fight and to see what the injustice that has happened to my son Terrell. And this isn't to my son Terrell, it's other people who suffer from mental illness. And I feel that the prison system is a racketeering thing. It's all about profit for them. And that's really it. I'm just trying to sum it up because I know we don't have a lot of time about this, to hear the story in all the details.
Right, I understand. And, my blessings and, my heart definitely goes out to you and your family because it sounds like y'all having more than a rough time with this situation.
Yeah, it's hard. I've had a heart attack over the situation. Also, because of this, since I have backed my son up and not backed down, the Children Youth Services out here are trying to take away my 11-year-old son away from me, and I'm fighting the courts. I have to go on the 28th. They're trying to say that I'm not a good parent, and there's just so much. And I just feel when you don't have money, they will do whatever they want to do. They can lie. They can do whatever they want to do, and I just feel that we don't have anybody in our corner. I will continue fighting for all my children. Terrell's done with his fight. He's already told me that he's been done. He can't do it anymore for several things. He doesn't like the fact that he's being portrayed as this horrible sexual molester, and also the fact that he's been incarcerated for 5 years, and also the fact with his mental illness, he's just done. But he said, "Ma, is this torture?" And he can't do it anymore, and he's done. And I don't know what else to do but to continue fighting and to be his voice for him. Okay,
well, hold on. What I want to do, Holly, we got to take a break real quick. It's mandatory. We got to take this real quick. Now, what I want to do when we come right back in, me and Jeffrey, we're going to ask you a few questions, okay?
Okay.
All right, so everybody, I want y'all to stay locked in and stay tuned in. Y'all know what I always say. If you touch that dial, you're a part of the problem. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, we back. Welcome back to the I've Been Falsely Accused show. I'm your host, Cogee, with my main man, Mr. Jeffrey Deskovic. Now, we got Miss Holly on here right now, Miss Holly Austin. Well, Holly, one thing I want to ask you, and this is what I was thinking about on the break. You said that your son got involved with this lady. He was 17 and she was 40, right?
She was in her 40s at the time, yeah.
Okay, she was in her 40s at the time. So, how long were they together before all the fireworks jumped off? How old was he when...
I'm sorry, it was almost 4 years.
Almost 4 years? So, it's basically he really grew out of the relationship, right?
Yeah.
As far as him being that young, he hadn't been through no relationships yet. And she's a grown woman who probably felt fed up on a lot of different stuff. So probably during their breakup, it might have been a little serious animosity, because of the situation of the age difference. And, she probably felt like this is where I wanted to be. But this young man hadn't finished growing yet, right?
It was a combination. He was just done. Basically, she would leave. Like when the kids' checks came in, she would leave like 2 weeks on end, and he was stuck taking care of all the kids. And since he was involved with her, I took the kids in. We were all as a family, and so during that time when she would do whatever she was doing, we were stuck taking care of her kids. And she did a lot of things that we saw that were inappropriate, and my son was just done. He told her that he was leaving, and he didn't tell her that he was going to report everything. But I regret that day. I know this sounds horrible to the listening audience because it is children. But I regret that day that we reported her to Children and Youth because that's when my son's nightmare began.
Okay, let me ask you a question. When you how long was it before you found out that your 17-year-old son was in a relationship with a 40-year-old woman?
Unfortunately, I knew probably within. Basically, to explain that, I have muscular dystrophy, and I was in an abusive relation with my ex-husband. What happened, my son stepped in between my ex-husband trying to stab me, and my ex-husband killed. What he did was he kicked him out, so my son didn't have any place to go. And during that time, I was very sick with my muscular dystrophy, and there really wasn't much I could do. And eventually my son told me that he was with this woman, and I didn't agree with the circumstances at all, but I was still with my ex-husband, and
there was nothing you could do.
It was a hard situation, yeah.
Right. Okay, another thing I want to ask you real quick. With that situation, you said when social services came to look at the children, they found nothing wrong with them far as sexual, accusations against your son, right?
There was nothing. And the thing is, this woman, children and youth were already in her life 20 years prior before my son was ever involved. It was due to the fact that somehow one of her children died mysteriously. So children and youth were already involved already.
Okay. I want to ask. Go ahead.
And so during the time that my son was involved, 2 caseworkers twice a week went out to the home to look at the girls. The girls went to school. So the reporters from Children and Youth, the Eastern School District, the nurses, no one said anything, reported any signs of neglect or abuse of what they're trying to say my son did.
Right. Okay. And with the children, how old were the children at the time? I want to ask you one more. Jeffrey, I want you to get ready, but I want to ask you one more question. How old were the children at the time that they were taken away?
Between the ages of, the youngest was 8 and up to, I think, 12. There was one child that they put the allegations, but she wasn't living at the home.
Okay. Now, with those ages right there, this is the point that I'm coming to. I know they asked the children, did this young man ever do anything wrong to you all, or touch y'all inappropriately, or do anything where y'all feel violated? Did they ask the children that?
I have no idea if they did or not. The only time that I heard anything was during my son's preliminary hearing, and during that time, from them going from calling him daddy, from the 4 years that they were with my son, he was turned into that bad man.
Oh, wow.
That's what they, yes.
Oh, okay. Jeffrey, you got the ball.
Yeah. So just to repeat, because it was the beginning part of it, and the beginning part of your interview, the allegation against your son specifically is that
molestation.
Molestation?
Child molestation, right? And they're saying that how many of the kids are saying he touched?
There are 3 altogether.
Right, but did they gave specific dates or times, or are they claiming it was an ongoing pattern for a number of years? What take me into the allegations.
In the reports that I know, they never said a set time. That was the whole thing. They never had a rape kit, none of that stuff. All of a sudden, these things happen.
Then you're saying that there is no set time where they're saying a certain time and place where they're saying that this happened.
No. And my son was involved for 4 years with them.
Yeah, well, see, I think that there's more. You got to get into some more of the legal documents. I mean, for them to, I don't want to say arrested your son. Obviously, they had to indict him, bring it to a grand jury, and at that time,
it didn't go that way. I'm not to cut you off, but never once. They never even had an arrest warrant. I just found that out last December. There was no arrest warrant, and that's another thing that I regret. The first was going to Children and Youth. The second was the fact when the cops called me saying they had an arrest warrant for my son, I took him in. There was no arrest warrant ever.
No, I know, but I'm not. I'm not really asking about the arrest warrant, though. What I'm saying is, once they arrested him, they have to go and get an indictment from a grand jury, and at the grand jury, they have to set forth specific allegations, like he's alleged to have committed. Go ahead, I'll let you talk.
They never did that. From my time for my son's arrest, he sat in prison. The only thing he went to was the preliminary hearing. They increased his bail. He has the highest bail here, And my son has sat. He has sat in Northampton County Prison, and he has gone from Northampton County Prison to Norristown State Hospital and to Torrance, and back to Northampton County Prison. That is all that has happened.
But unless you request to go to a grand jury to testify, which almost nobody does, you're not present for the grand jury proceeding. So just because you didn't go or your son didn't go didn't mean it didn't happen.
Well, we had a paid attorney, and he said he was going to do everything he could to get my son out of prison, and he didn't. And he
I know, but that's...
Wait a minute. Can we do this? Hold on. Let's do this real quick. Miss Holly, we in no way do we want you to think that we're going against you. These are just questions that Jeffrey have to ask you, and please, don't get mad at him. And if we can all talk one at a time, I'm gonna let everybody talk. Everybody is gonna get to talk. But Holly, you got to remember, we are for you, but we got to hear the truth. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
So don't think we're against you. The things that Jeffrey have to ask you, he have to ask you this way, because if we want to help you in any other kind of way, it's gonna come back. If you think Jeffrey's something, you wait till you go against a prosecutor who don't want to let nothing get reversed on your child. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
So please hear it with a loving heart and just open ears, for a great conversation. All right.
Okay.
All right. So Jeffrey, I want you to go ahead and you to explain, please, and then Holly will come back and she'll let you go on.
Absolutely, and I echo. And by the way, Holly, I echo Cogee's sentiments. I just the point of this, though, beyond getting your story out there, is we want to try to arm you with some specific steps that you can do.
That's right.
And that's really what I'm trying to do. And sometimes the questions have to do with me understanding the case a little bit more, so I can give you some advice on some steps. So just from the little bit that I've heard so far, here's some advice I'd like to give you. Is the first thing is ask your lawyer for the copy of the indictment. That's going to have the specifics on it. That's one thing. And another thing, they have to say the time and place, in order to charge you. And next thing is they have what's called witness statements. So you want to be able to review the statements that the kids made. There's not just on the police, but then you want to compare the statements the police took down to what they said at the grand jury. Compare that to what they said at the preliminary hearing. The reason why you want to get all that stuff and compare it, okay, is when you're telling the truth, all you got to do is remember the truth. You don't have to remember what you said. It's very hard to keep a lie together and to tell the same story the exact same way, getting all the details the same each time when you're telling a lie. So when people contradict themselves in material respects, important ways, that's going to help in terms of the credibility there. In terms of just wanting to kill himself, I one thing I'd suggest you do, you want to get stories. There's a lot of stories on the internet how people were cleared, were exonerated. Those stories are inspirational. They helped me get through when I was imprisoned wrongfully. That inspired me to keep going. That I can come out from this. That the truth can come out. And so get some of those and share that stuff with him so that he can come out the suicidal mentality. Because it sounds to me from everything you're saying that his case is really stalled. It can't move forward in the court system, and therefore he's continuing to be incarcerated, albeit in a hospital, because of the fact that he's in that hospital that he's suicidal. So, the only way you're going to win the case is if the case can get back in the court. So that's the important step there.
But Jeffrey, can I ask you something? I'm sorry, Jeffrey. Yep. Can I ask you something real quick? I want to ask you something. I'm gonna come from the sideline with this one on it. With him being in the mental hospital and all that and suicidal, can they still try to play off that and say, well, he's not competent to come back to trial to even get out of this? Can you bring us up to speed on that?
Cogee, it sounds like that's what they're doing already. Because to have a case stalled for 5 years.
That's right.
That's almost unheard of. There was another case. It was a North Carolina case, and what happened was the person who was charged, who later was proven they was falsely charged, they were deemed to be incompetent, but to stand trial by the court. And so, therefore, they ordered him to be hospitalized until such time as he could be competent, because the theory is that if you're not mentally competent, then you're not able to assist your attorney
That's right.
in trying and preparing your defense.
Yeah.
So they had this guy in the hospital more than 10 years, Cogee, because he was mentally retarded. And in that kind of condition, there ain't never going to be
That's
any
right.
kind of an improvement enough. So luckily, his lawyer came up with a very innovative way of resolving the case. If I remember correctly, it was a confession case, and they were able to prove that the statements the written statements what was made, that was written at a level of education that was just beyond his competence. And so when they seized on that tactic and brought that forward in court, they were able to get the case against dismissed, to break the loggerheads.
Okay. There it is. Now, what we got to do, we got to take a break real quick. Jeffrey, that was great information. And when we come back in, Miss Holly, we would love to hear what you got to say. And we just want you to know we do this out of love, and we are for you. We're not against you, okay? Mm-hmm. All right. We'll be right back in. This is the I've Been Falsely Accused show, part 19. We'll be right back. Hey, we back, everybody. Welcome back to the I've Been Falsely Accused radio show, part 19. I'm your host, Cogee, with my co-host, Mr. Jeffrey Deskovic. Now, we got Miss Holly Austin on here. And, Holly, I just want to say that we do believe in you. We do believe in your son's case. But what we trying to do, I always want Jeffrey to hear it out. And then towards the end of the show, what we doing now, this is a new thing that me and Jeffrey does, where we ask our guests, would you please get a pen and a piece of paper? We want to tell you, jot down some things for you to do to help you go through this case differently, and a little differently than it's already going. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
So that's why, I was telling you, whoa, hold on for a minute. Just hear Jeffrey out and know that it's coming from love. But our new thing is, at the end of the show, I want people to get pen and paper, and for Jeffrey to say, okay, now this is what I want you to do. You do this, you do that, you do this. Then get back in touch with me, and we're going to move forward on this case. But things, I want to tell everybody that's listening, things can only move as fast as you move. Me and Jeffrey don't have time to do this for nobody, off the air. We do this show for everybody. We take time out of our lives to do this show twice a month for everybody, but we can't fight the case off the air until y'all do the leg work and then come and hook up with us, and then we all fight as a team. All right?
Okay.
All right. So do you have pen and paper, Miss Holly?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Jeffrey, bring up the speed.
Okay, what you need to do is you need to go to your attorney, ask for a copy of the indictment. Next thing, you need, because again, like I said before, that's going to give you the specific times and places where they're claiming a crime happened. So that's number one. So you need to know the specifics in order to be able to fight and defend it. Second thing, you want to get the police reports, all of them, but with a specific focus on what witness statements the police wrote down. What are the kids saying specifically? And then you want to get the minutes for the transcripts for their testimony that they gave at any time after making the initial statements. You want to get ask the lawyer for the grand jury testimony. What did they say at preliminary hearing? You want to compare as many different times as the kids spoke.
We have to move fast. We have 4 minutes. We have to move fast.
Okay. Those are the key points to do right now. The third thing is, we got to get the case back to court. So that means share with him the inspirational literature I mentioned. It's very easy to Google about cases and, share that with him. Those are the preliminary steps.
Okay. All right. Those are the steps. So, Miss Holly, did you get that?
Yes, and some of those things I do have. I do have his file. I paid for it for the courthouse, so I do have some of those things. I hear what you guys are saying, and I don't want you guys thinking that I'm not trying to listen or anything. I'm just very frustrated. A lot of things have gone on with this case, and he has not been sitting in the prison for 5 years because of his mental illness. His mental illness has gotten worse since he's been in there.
Yes.
A lot of things have happened.
Yes, ma'am.
A lot of things, because I was really exposed in this case in November, that they moved forward. There's a lot of things that they got really down and dirty about, that they lied in the public. There's a lot of things. And right now they're trying to push they even added an extra 40 charges since he's been back in prison. Okay? And they're saying he's violated his probation while he's been in prison. And they're putting all this stuff out there. You know, they're trying to paint him as this horrible person that they already have painted. And I'm very frustrated. I've already found out that his case has been blacklisted. There's no more money for any attorney. He doesn't even have an attorney. He has a public defender that's just showing for this violation of probation when he was in a mental hospital. They're saying he violated. So there's a lot of things. So I don't want you guys thinking that I'm not listening. I wrote down everything that you just told me. The next time you guys have them in the air, if we have time, I'll read off those. I'll make sure I have everything. I'm just hoping... Huh?
Oh, we definitely will have time, because you coming back with us next week. I want you in the first hour, and we're going to give you the whole hour, and we want to hear everything. We just down to short time right now. But what I want you to do, just hold on for a second, okay? I want you to cross over into the third hour with us, me and Jeffrey, because I want you to, I want you to be able to say what you was great to say. I don't want to cut you off, and I never want to be disrespectful any of me and Jeffrey shows and leave the show on a bad note. We leave the show on love, the same way we came in, all right? So, all right. So everybody stay locked in and tuned in. We're going into our third and final hour of the I've Been Falsely Accused show, part 19. I'm your host, Cogee, and my main man, Mr. Jeffrey Deskovic. We'll be right back.